So we usually start our practice with an easy seated position. This is Sukhasana. This is a centering practice just to start to calm down the mind, connect the mind-body, and the way we do that is we start to connect with our breath. And so just start to follow your inhale and your exhale. One thing about Sukhasana for a lot of us is that we'd like to try to get the knees below the hips. She's able to do this. She's got a nice straight back, shoulders away from the ears, crown of the head is reaching up. A lot of times it feels like we're leaning back, but it's actually, we've got to come back so that our ears are lined up over our shoulder blades right there. Closing the eyes, just starting to follow the inhale. It comes all the way down to your navel, fills up. And slowly exhaling. Just starting to ground your sit bones on the mat. For those of us that can't get our knees below our hips, we can also take the block, use that as a modification. Now you can see that that's going to bring your knees actually below the hip bones there. Hands can rest either on the thighs, on the knees, or in the lap. And again, just the posture here. And it's so much of our day is spent over the computer or on our desk. The kids and their shoulders are around your shoulder. We're crunched over like that, and so this is just really another chance to find that posture. In our practice, we come to our knees, float our big toes to touch, knees as wide as the mat if possible. Just allow our belly to drop inside of our legs. Sit the hips back on the heels, crawl the fingers out to the front of your mat, and just allow your forehead to rest on the mat here. And we want to try to inch our fingers forward a little bit so that it starts to draw the triceps, a little bit of space underneath the armpits there. You can actually even go up on the fingertips as if you've got like a tennis ball underneath the hand here. And that starts to engage the arms, getting lots of length in our side body here. Sometimes it's not as comfortable, the hips can't come back, so also the teacher can come around when it's appropriate and just start to adjust here. We're going to crawl the fingers back underneath, hands directly underneath the shoulders, bring the knees underneath the hips. Untuck the toes, all 10 toes are flat against the mat. And as we start to exhale, round the back, gazing at the navel, just getting good. Great stretch in the spine there. And then on the inhale, allow the belly button and heart to drop toward the mat, gazing up toward the ceiling. And just start to use this as a flow. So on your own breath, exhale, cat. Go ahead and inhale slowly again. Just allow the hip, heart center to drop. Cow pose. And as you come to a neutral spine one more time. Start to curl the toes under and walk the fingers out just a little bit further in front of you. As you're ready on your exhale, hips come up and back for downward dog. And on the downward dog, a couple things on the downward dog. The heels don't have to make it to the mat. They might. For her, they do. But if I was doing this, my heels would not be on the floor here. So just got to be moving in that direction. Want to engage the thighs. Sit bones continue to reach up and back. Long, flat back. Her gaze is anywhere between her thighs, and if she's able to, just allowing the head to hang here, maybe even looking at her own navel right there. Inner arms are facing one another. Hands are pressing into the mat here. And what she's doing is she's really pressing through the triad of her hand here, so that it starts to take the pressure off of the wrist. So sometimes people feel that it starts to hurt their wrist a little bit. Continue to press the heart center back toward your thighs. Start to connect with your breath again. Now slowly walk your feet to the top of your space and into a forward fold, Uttanasana. So feet are about hip width apart. And if you have to, you want to bend your knees a little bit, taking the pressure off of the lower spine. If you've got tight hamstrings. Then go ahead and grab opposite elbows. Just allow the head to hang, giving this nice stretch here. And then as it feels comfortable, slowly start to straighten the legs there. Press the feet firmly into the mat. Maybe shake the head, yes, no. Maybe allow the elbows to swing from right to left a little bit. Release the hands to the mat. Inhale, Ardha Uttanasana. So this is halfway lift. So sometimes you want to try to get a nice flat back here. If this isn't possible, you can bring your hands to your shins. And then that extends and just push against the shins, and that you can even bring her up just a little bit more there. Sometimes people even come up to their thighs with this flat back. Inhale there, and then exhale, forward fold, Uttanasana. One more time. And just that deepens the pose. We continue to bring the chin toward the shins. And then on the inhale, we're going to slowly rise all the way up, sweeping the arms above the head. Hands come to touch, gazing up at our thumbs. And then exhale, hands come to heart center. Tadasana. This is mountain pose. This is just a great place to start. And again, you can just check her posture here. Shoulder blades are back, crown of the head is reaching forward. Rib cage is working away from the pelvis here. She's grounding her feet into the mat. Sometimes we can encourage people to lift all 10 toes off the mat to start to engage legs here to find the four corners of your feet. And then as she's got that, then slowly put your feet back down there. Sun A. Come to the top of your space, bring your big toes to touch. And on your inhale, sweep your hands to touch. Exhale, bow forward. Inhale, halfway lift, Ardha Uttanasana. Exhale, plant your hands, step your feet back to plank and hold plank. Right there. With your plank, she wants her heels working toward the back of the room. Wrists are directly underneath the shoulders here. She's pulling her core up toward her spine here. That's reaching out, gaze slightly in front of the mat. And then as she's ready, she's slowly going to lower all the way down into Chaturanga. So this is Sphinx pose. So she's pressing all 10 toes against the mat here, drawing her heart center forward here. It's just, again, really nice lower back opener. Go ahead and release, bring your hands back where your elbows are. Press through, curl the toes under, press through plank, and then exhale, downward dog. So we're just working our way through Sun Salutation A. You can stay here for anywhere from 3 to 5 breaths. And on your inhale, let your heels rise. On your exhale, walk or float to the top of your space. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, sweep your hands to touch. Exhale. On your inhale, float your hands to touch. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, walk or float your feet back. Inhale, upward dog. Exhale, downward dog. Go ahead on your inhale, lift your heels. On your exhale, float your feet to the top of your space. Inhale, Ardha. Exhale, Uttanasana. Inhale, bend your knees. Utkatasana, chair pose or thunderbolt pose. Just sitting her hips down, the weights in her heels. Again, sometimes you can ask them to lift their toes up here, gazing up. Just really nice here. And then on your exhale, go ahead and release, bow forward, straighten your legs. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, plant your hands, hop or float back. Inhale, upward dog. Exhale, downward dog. On your inhale, right leg floats. Exhale, step your right foot through. Warrior one, ground the outside edge of your right foot. So the big thing on this again is she steps into warrior one to the right side. We're going to hold this for a couple breaths. She's working the outer edge of her left foot or her back foot into the ground here. And the big thing about this pose is that her hips are squared up toward the front of the room. And the outer thigh, she's rotating the outer thigh down inside here. And her right thigh, trying to come as parallel to the floor as she can. Pressing into the ball mount of her front foot. And her right thigh is rotating out right here. Arms are nice and straight. Gaze is up. She can even start to float the hands to touch. Gazing up right there. And then on her exhale, cartwheel your hands down. Frame your right foot. Step your right foot back to meet your left. Chaturanga. Inhale, upward dog. Exhale, downward dog. On your inhale, your left foot floats. Exhale, step your left foot through, ground your outside foot of your right foot. Warrior one on the left side for 2. At any point in time, then if it becomes too difficult, we can always come back to child's pose here. So go ahead and take child's pose one more time. Big toes touch, knees float outside. Again, just feels really nice to start to lengthen out the spine here. And again, that you would only make the adjustments that's appropriate. Working with. When you're inhale, lift your right foot up. Exhale, step your right foot between your hands. Warrior one on the right side. And on your exhale, open up warrior two. So on warrior two, now the hips are going to go from square toward the front of the mat to now perpendicular to the front of the mat or parallel to the side of the mat. Again, she's grounding the outer edge of this foot here, rotating the left outer thigh back, right inner thigh back as well. Arms are at shoulder level here. Big thing here, again, she's breathing, same with her breath. Her gaze is called dristi. She's looking right here, fingernail of her middle finger right there. Trying to get this thigh as parallel to her mat as possible. It's really nice right there. And on your exhale, go ahead and cartwheel your hands down. Step your right foot back to your left, chaturanga. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale, put your left foot up. Warrior one. Exhale, open up to warrior two. Again, really nice here, strong back here. A lot of times people sometimes lean forward a little bit too much, so like the surfer dude. As if someone's pulling your hands in opposite directions. We didn't do this on the other side. You go ahead and flip your palms. And then inhale, reverse your warrior. Right arm slides down the leg. Just getting this really nice stretch back here. And then on your exhale, cartwheel your hands down, frame your left foot, step your left foot back to meet your right, chaturanga. Inhale, and your exhale, downward dog. At any time, that's called a vinyasa flow. You can skip that, and then as you cartwheel your hands down, you can go right to down dog. So you don't have to go through the chaturanga and the upward dog. Okay. So let's go ahead and inhale your right leg up. Exhale, step your right foot between your hands. Warrior one, find warrior one. Exhale, open up to warrior two. Inhale, reverse your warrior. Go ahead and just straighten your right leg. Reverse Trikonasana. And then finding Trikonasana or triangle pose, go ahead and lengthen your arms out, shoulder height. Get lots of length so your right hand's going to reach toward the front of the room. Left hip is reaching for the back of the room. Legs stay straight. And then the right hand you can find either inside or outside of the foot or even right on the shin right here. Left arm is stacked directly over the left or the right arm here. And really trying to work on opening up our hips here as if our back was pressed up against the wall. So it's flat back here. Really nice. And then this is actually more challenging than it looks, but try to gaze up at your thumb right here. Theta Parshvakonasana, that we call it side angle. So let's start with doing this. So the starting position here has been just go ahead and rest the right forearm on the knee. Again, she's got great bend in the knee here. Right thigh is parallel to the floor. And the big thing is the grounding at the outside edge of her back foot. And we're trying to create one long line from the outer edge of her left foot to the fingertips on her left hand. Left hand floats up over the ear. Just try to stretch that. And then her gaze is up, really almost toward her fingers here. Now, if she wants to go a little bit deeper, some people are a little bit more flexible, they can go a little bit deeper. The hand can come to the outside. And again, she's still scooping her right sit bone as if she's rolling her right ribs up toward the ceiling here. So on half moon, or Ardha Chandrasana. So really, this is just triangle or Trikonasana. And so you can see the pose is very much the same. So she is resting, not a lot of weight, just a little bit of weight on her right hand. Again, the left arm stacked over the right arm. Really, she's engaged in her right leg, obviously, because that's the standing leg, but this leg is doing as much work right here. So this leg is active, toes are back right here, so the foot's engaged. So she's got the 5 points, so there's energy coming out this leg, the two arms, and then out through her head right there. Again, the gazing point, if it's not feasible, let's just go ahead and keep your gaze down a little bit.
One of the things that happened here, as you can see, is this is really common. Her foot turned in a little bit, so we want to eventually try to get it to come so that it stays parallel with the side of her mat. But a lot of times our foot just kind of sneaks in. So then as you're ready, go ahead and bend your right knee, slowly step back, reverse your warrior. As you're ready, go ahead and lay your hands down, bring your right foot, step back, chaturanga. Inhale, upward dog. Exhale, downward dog. Ustrasana, or camel pose. So she wants to make sure that her knees are about hip width apart. And really the big thing here is you want to support your back and go to a point where it feels comfortable. And we want to keep our head as much as we can in line with our heart. So our heads are pretty heavy, so we don't want our head just dropping back. We want to keep our head even with our heart. She's supporting her back, starting the back bend here. And she's lifting her with her heart center forward, and her hips are working forward here. She can stay right there. That'd be perfect. She's getting all the benefits of the pose there. If it's available to her, she can start to reach back toward her heels here. And again, she's pretty flexible, so her feet are flat. But if it's not, you can curl your toes under to get those heels up a little bit higher here. But for her, it's available. And then her thumbs are going to go on the inside of heel, and what that does again is it just gets that rotation, opens up the shoulders here. She's continuing to reach her heart center forward, and then allows the head to hang back here. But she's continuing to reach the heart center toward the ceiling. Hips are working toward the front of the room, and then as she slowly comes back up, releases, and the head's the last thing to rise with. So coming into bridge pose. So her feet are going to be about hip width apart. Bring the heels in so that when she reaches down, she should be able to graze her heels with the back of her hands. And then what she's going to do is start to roll the knees forward so it lifts the hips up here. And then what she wants to do is she kind of wants to start to shimmy the shoulder blades together as much as possible so that basically none of her spine is on the ground here. So what's supporting her is the back of her head and her two shoulder blades. And her spine, there's actually a little bit of space there. She's interlaced her fingers underneath her body there. Gaze is slightly back, chin is slightly up here like this. Now her heart center is reaching up here toward her chin. Chin's reaching back, gaze is back. Hips continue to rise, so she's pressing through her feet right here. So this is a really nice place to stay. Another modification here, just uses the block so she can go up on her toes. And you want to get that block right underneath the sacrum right there. So that it's kind of a restorative pose, so she's resting all of her weight. But the big thing again is she's got her shoulder blades close together so that none of her spine is up the ground. And then from here, last one, Urdhva Dhanurasana, or bridge or wheel pose. So what she's going to do is she's going to take her hands up by her ears, fingers are facing toward toward her feet. And as she inhales, she comes up on the crown of her head and draw the elbows together, and then go ahead and press all the way up here. Again, just lifting the heart center toward the back of the room here, trying to straighten her arms. She's doing a really nice job there. She's got a really nice bend in the back there, opening up the heart, just staying with her breath. Continue to find your breath, and then slowly look up toward the ceiling, bring your chin to your chest, and start to lower down slowly. Anytime after you've done back bends, you want to counter it with forward folds. But one of the things we probably do here is just do a gentle twist. So she would take both legs, just bring them over to the side here like this. Start to neutralize the spine. It's really important to counter the poses that you just done. Feet together. Again, big thing about this is like a lot of times people just bend their back, but she's going to keep the spine nice and long here, keep all this length. Again, her knees are working out toward the floor there, and then as she's able to whatever degree is comfortable for her, elbows are drawing out to the side. She's keeping this length in her back as she folds forward here. She would stay here for 3 to 5 breaths. Go ahead and extend your legs straight out. And here she's going to take her hands alongside of her hips and just lift her hips up just a little bit off the ground so that she gets onto her sit bones. And then engage engage your feet by drawing your toes back toward your heart center, so your arms up to touch. And she's going to keep all this length as she goes ahead and folds, and her hands might come to her shins, they might come to her ankles, or in her case, they're going to come past her feet. Again, it's about keeping the length. Doesn't matter how far you reach out, doesn't matter if your head comes down to your knees or not. And then really important just to hold this. A lot of times what we forget about is our legs here. She's really engaging her legs so the feet are active. Okay. So this is just a basic squat called Malasana. And again, I'm just opening up my hips, trying to bring my hands into prayer, bring my hands to my heart center, elbows inside my knees. From here we're moving into Bakasana, or crow pose. And so from there I'm going to just go ahead and ground my hands into the mat. Start to lift my hips up. I might bring my feet a little bit closer together. A couple different ways. I can either start to squeeze my triceps with my knees, or just really get my knees up by my shoulder blades, my armpits. And then my gaze is going to, it's more about just coming forward, and then I can lift one foot, maybe two. And I'm trying to straighten the arms as much as possible. Put the feet together. Again, it's more of a balancing, coming forward and coming up. And as you're ready, one, you can start to move to a tripod headstand. Place the head down. Again, tripod means that I can see my hands behind my head here. And bring the feet up. Flex the feet at the top as if I was standing on the ceiling. Stay here for a number of breaths, and then as you're ready, you can either bring your knees down or come back into Bakasana. So you can see Shavasana is the final resting pose. A lot of people don't recognize that this is the most important pose of the whole practice. It allows your body to integrate all the work that you've done, the strength, the balance, the flexibility. What she wants to do is she wants to bring her hands, it's called corpse pose, and her arms are a little bit, getting her arms away from the body a little bit. Feet are about as wide as the mat. She's just going to completely let go, surrender to the mat.